This week, Drake drops. Wait, that's not Drake's album. Party Next Door drops a new album featuring Drake. Ebro says there's a sickness in hip hop, and Jay finally gets that lawsuit dropped. Let's talk about it.
The STEM Society.
Welcome back to the STEM Society. My name is Cole Jackson. This is episode 84. We're live. Thank you for joining me for another episode. I am on the road to 1,000 by March, and we have some new subscribers, some new socialites. Chris Outspoken, Tasman De La Harp, A. Perez, and Danoli. Those are some of the newest socialites that have joined the club. Congratulations, guys. You are part of intellectual hip-hop conversation. I am so glad that you guys are helping me get to this point. Thank you for the support on the last video. I had a lot of comments, and I think I might do a video just addressing some of the comments that I had about the last video, speaking about the Kendrick Lamar Super Bowl. Interesting takes, and some of you guys are just trolls. Doesn't matter. Happy post-Valentine's Day, if that's the thing. I'm a single guy living in the UK. Ain't nobody trying to talk to me right now. So, and plus I'm on a mission to do this content creator thing. I'm trying to be more focused on my legacy as a content creator, somebody who's trying to build their channel and actually kind of get into ZZ Mills status. She is like everywhere around here. But I took myself out. I went to the movies to go see Captain America, Brave New World. Worst shit I've ever seen in years. Marvel has completely forgot how to make a movie because that shit was trash. There was no real villain. The CG was all over the place. And Black Captain America don't know how to fight. I'm sorry. How is it that Black Captain America can't take a karate class? It's comical. It's hilarious that this dude was getting his ass whooped most of the movie. He was getting his ass whooped, and then he fights the Hulk. Spoiler. But if you've seen the trailer, then you kind of know he fights the Hulk on creatine. Like he ain't even got no real super soldier serum. Black Captain America is on creatine and eats good. That's who fought the Hulk, the Red Hulk. I'm not gonna tell you the outcome because if you've seen the trailer, you know what the outcome is. But I'm really starting to step away from these Marvel movies, man, because they are not doing anything justice anymore. Like that movie was bad. The only good part about that movie, honestly, was probably seeing Anthony Mackie get like a lead role. I like him. He's a pretty decent actor. So I thought he did a pretty good job as Captain America. But bro, you gotta ask them to give you some something. Like I know you're getting paid, but you should have got like karate classes or take some fucking Jukwon-Do. I don't know. You could have got like The Rock to teach you some shit. You was getting your ass whooped a lot, and yeah, it just don't seem fair that Black Captain America gets his ass whooped through the whole movie. So, with that being said, that was pretty much my Valentine's Day. I was gonna get some pizza, but the traffic was so bad getting into the theater on my way there. You know, I take public transport, so you know I don't have a car. Traffic was horrible. I got there probably 20 minutes late. So it is what it is. But yeah, I wish I could have seen a better movie for Valentine's Day for taking myself out, but that shit was garbage, bro. It was terrible. Probably about as good as this album.
New releases.
So I told you guys I was going to give you some music critiques, and too many people got in my DMs about this Party Next Door album, this Party Next Door Drake collab. So I think I'm just going to do a whole episode about new music that I've listened to, and it'll come out later on this week. But I got to get to this. 21 tracks, an hour and 13 minutes. Whoo. Okay. First and foremost, this album is not for me. Not for me at all. And I think for certain people out there, it ain't for you either. I'm a Drake fan, but I'm more of a Drake early rap Drake. than I am the melodies Drake, the singing Drake. This is a R&B album. This album also is a lie. They lied to you, and they lied to me too. PARTYNEXTDOOR don't do hardly anything on this album. Thank God, because I'm not a PARTYNEXTDOOR fan. This is a Drake trying to get the rust off, trying to get my wheels back under me again album. Whew. Okay, let me give you some of the good side of things. Let me give you some positive things about this album. One, I think it's pretty cool that Drake gave something to his real true fans, which are pretty much Instagram models or women who want to be married to that type of rapper or have this lifestyle that they really can't live, but they use OnlyFans to get it. That's for them. I think that I do think that I think it's produced very well. I can't really take away from the production. That's a plus and a negative. When I get to the bad side of things, I'll let you know why it's a negative. But I think the production was actually on point for what he was trying to do with this album. What's one more positive that I had? I don't have my notes in front of me because my phone's dying and I barely can see what's going on. But, oh, yeah, that's right. Drake was able to get his shit off and put it off on PARTYNEXTDOOR's name. Yeah, he got his shit off on here. This is a Drake album. For all intents and purposes, this is a Drake album. Now, I'm pretty sure they named it. They put the naming, sequence the name that was the way it is because they wanted to kind of get around some UMG stuff probably. And I kind of get it. It's kind of little wiggle room for certain things because, again, Drake still has this lawsuit with UMG going on. So I get why they named it or they put it PARTYNEXTDOOR and Drake, so on and so forth. It came under OVO, Santa Ana, Sony, so on and so forth. All of that stuff. Got that out the way. Here's my problem with the album. One, too many damn songs. This could have been whittled down to 12 songs. Even though the production is done very well, I do want to give credit to the production. Produced pretty good. It's very repetitive in the type of beats that you get. And some of these songs sound exactly the same. Like some of these songs sound exactly the same. It's kind of later on in the album where they kind of kind of differentiate. And I know I'm pulling out my phone, but I got it saved right here. Like once you get to like stuff like the stuff with Yeba with Die Trying or the Nokia song, that's lower and that's like song number 14, 15, shit like that. It starts getting a little bit different. But like the very beginning, like I would say the first six, 7 songs really sound similar to each other, which I'm kind of just like I get you guys are trying to stick to a theme or you guys are trying to stick to a certain thing on this album, but switch that shit up, bro. Like switch it up a little bit earlier. I actually thought the beginning of the album was pretty good. Even though it sounds very similar, the songs really go into each other very well. But it's just like, I don't know. I know a lot of people online are really dogging this album out. And then you got the other side, which are complete and total Drake stans that are going to say what they need to say. I feel like this was something that was really good for Drake to get the rust off, to kind of get back into good graces with his fans and people who really love him. Because there have been people who have been asking for an R&B Drake album for a very long time. Now, he does get some bars off with like Give Me a Hug, songs like that, which I already know the discourse has been about the Joe Budden diss, which I think is completely foolish and dumb because why you swinging at niggas who ain't gonna swing back for real? Joe ain't finna get on no microphone or say anything. The whole line about Melissa Ford being a legend of the six, you're sitting next to a cocksucker, blah, 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 whoop-de-whoop, who cares? Joe ain't finna get in no booth and go and swing back at you. So it was kind of like, that's an easy meal for you, bro. He did hit Kendrick up with a few lines, twerking. What is he twerking to the dictionary and shit? All that bullshit that y'all seen on the internet. But at the end of the day, it's just really him trying to kind of check to see what the temperature is like with this album. And again, it's getting the reception that I think a lot of people would give it post Kendrick Lamar Super Bowl. Man, Drake does it again, bro. He's back. Man, the six. He's back. Six guy. I just feel like, and this is my personal opinion, I just feel like Drake could have just put out a nice little 12-song album with Party Next Door. Party Next Door being the featured artist, because this is not a Party Next Door album. I think Party sat up there and was just like, hey, you got it, homeboy. You got it, bro. You got it. Which is good, because I don't want to hear yodeling through the whole album. He's just not my cup of tea. He's just not. Is the album trash? Let me put it to you in terms that you may or may not understand. Let's try it this way. This year, I had promised myself that every album that I wanted to listen to, I was going to buy. That can be a good or a bad thing. But this year, I said I'm going to invest more money into music than I've ever had in any other year. I got this thinking that the streaming situation was going to be bad because of the loss of UMG. I said, I don't know how they're going to maneuver around this shit. I don't know what's going to go down. I did get the pre-sale code because I follow, they have the whole Instagram community shit. And I follow Party Next Door because I just want to, it helps me stay on top of being what news is happening, because a lot of these artists put a lot of shit in their communities to kind of make their fans ahead of everybody else. So I bought it. Didn't listen to it, didn't think about it. I said, I'm going to listen to it. I knew I was going to listen to it. Let me just buy it. I want my money back. Not because I think it's trash, but because I think this wasn't made for me. Party Next Door and Drake was basically really just making something to build that fan base back up, especially the women's side of things. And it ain't for me. It's not for me. It is. I don't even think it's marketed for me. So I would like to get my $8 back because of tax. I want my $8 back because it ain't what I need. Is there a few songs in there that I like? Yeah, it's a few songs in there that's actually really good. But overall, that album is just made for people who really want to massage Drake's ego, and for people who really are day one, no matter what Drake does, stands. And I'm just not one of those people. I love Drake who raps. I like the dance album Drake. Like, honestly, Nevermind was actually a pretty good album. A lot of you niggas be sitting up there hating, but he actually put together a great dance album. But as far as like R&B Drake, sorry, bro. I can't do it. It's just not for me. Now, I know last year I said something about him putting out album of the year. Let's hold on for a second, because this ain't it. Again, this is Party Next Door's album. This is his shit. When Drake actually comes with the rap album, which he does allude to in a few songs on here about making his comeback. I think the intro of this album too was phenomenal. But he's going to make his comeback. He's dropping something this year, and I'm going to stick by it. In my prediction video earlier this year, I said that Drake's going to make a comeback. This might be the first step, because I'm pretty sure this album's going to do about 200K first week. I'm telling you what I know. 200K is going to be, he's going to do 200. Just from the pre-sales alone, he's going to do 200K. So that's going to happen. But I still feel like Drake is going to come out with a rap album that's going to be one of the best albums of 2025. This is just kind of checking the temperature, seeing what's going to happen. I'll guarantee you when the numbers drop, we're either going to see a bigger push on this album, and we're probably going to see a video or two come out. And then after that, as soon as this tour is over, we're going to start the rollout for Drake's new album. I'm telling you what I know, because I've seen this shit happen before. So with that being said, check out the album for yourself. Don't go off of the internet because the internet is going to tell you some bullshit. Is this album for me? No, it's not. Is it for you? You have to listen and find out for yourself. If you like R&B Drake, if you like some yodeling with your R&B, this is not traditional R&B, then this is for you. But if you want to hear some real R&B, go listen to They's album. They's album was fire. That's all I got for you.
Music news.
All right, I got a couple news things that I'm gonna go quick on. I do want to touch on this really quick because I seen this clip and I went to watch the video. Ebro had a very interesting quote about Drake. Watch this.
The reason Drake's in this is because he is a sickness in the game. It could have been any artist. It's what Drake represents. We've been saying this for months. No, but it's about what the game does to someone who's trying to dominate it.
Right.
That's the moral of the story. Somebody who's chart chasing, just trying to dominate the game and losing themselves while they're trying to chase the game. You guys are just focused on the battle. You're not focused on the actual sickness.
But Drake's level's never been reached in hip-hop before either.
Right, because nobody's ever had this level of sickness before, where they're trying to be an art. You're trying to dominate R&B. You're trying to dominate hip hop. You're trying to dominate pop. You're trying to have people write your records. You're trying to do all of these things simultaneous. And oh, by the way, you're also behind the scenes doing people dirty. Like it hasn't happened at this level before. All I'm talking about is what the halftime show was highlighting, which is how you're going to play the game, the quote game.
The American.
That's what the whole thing was about. Mm-hmm. Drake has decided to play the game in a way where he went from the suburban kid who lived with his mom, and all of a sudden now you've got mob ties and bullet holes in your sweatshirt with smoke coming out the back.
Yeah. Interesting. Let me just say this. Let me preface this before I get into what Ebro said. There's been a lot of back and forth about the Super Bowl halftime show. I think it has divided people more than it just brought us together. It's more arguing back and forth on the internet, even though the internet is not a real place. But so many people are divided about this, and I'm like, it was a 13-minute show of somebody who we either really, really liked or we really, really don't like. He put a show on for free, and everybody's mad. Okay. Okay. It even got down to the point of people talking about Black American culture and Black British culture. That whole situation was crazy. I seen too much shit on Instagram about that. That's neither here nor there. Ebro is one of those people who has a very old school mentality when it comes to hip hop. Calling Drake a sickness to the game is kind of stupid, if you ask me. And I'm saying that because we've never seen anybody out of the genre of hip hop get this big. Like, Drake is one of the biggest stars in the world, and he represents hip hop. He might not represent your hip hop or my hip hop, but he represents hip hop. We've never seen an artist get this big before, pause, in the world just off of rap music. And does he do the best rap in the world? Nah. He got some slaps. He got a couple albums that are pretty. He got 2 classics. I'll say he has 2 classic albums. Take Care, Things Will Never Were the Same. You can't deny those albums. But it kind of goes deeper into the culture of just saying dumb, wild shit that you really don't believe. Ebro works for Apple Music. He works for Apple Music. He has been in radio for years. I've never 100% agreed with what Ebro has said when it came throughout the years of listening to different takes he's had on hip hop. Or I watch the rap show that he does for Apple Music, which to be honest with you, he takes that Ebro hat off and he throws on his Apple Apple, I work for Apple, had on every time he gets on that show. He's had some hot takes, but he ain't never went that far. Like when he's on when he's on the radio station, he gets the shit off there. But when he's on that Apple show, he's a little straight laced, a little tighten himself up a little bit more. But the fact of the matter is, hip hop has evolved. Hip hop has changed. We're the most popular genre in music. It's been like that for years now. So for him to call somebody like Drake, somebody like Drake a sickness, I don't think you really realize that we ain't in the Locks era no more. We ain't in the Bad Boy Death Row era no more, my man. Things evolve and it changes. Is it a little bit saturated? Yeah. Hip hop is saturated, but that's what happens when you become super mainstream and super popular. We ain't back in the gutter, in the streets, in the tunnel no more. Like, that shit ain't happening no more, my nigga. Like, we are up front on everything. And that was eventually going to happen because we set the trends. We are the people who make the culture popular. We are the people who make shit work. The dark and light shit is funny because it's so many extremes when it comes to people talking about this Drake and Kendrick thing. It really reminds me of people having the conversations about Jay and Nas. I'm pulling something out of the past because that was kind of the same conversation when Jay and Nas kind of went at it. Jay is this dude who's the king of New York, and Nas is this dude that came out with an album once every 5 years. He was way more revered because Nas was way more revered because he was such a great storyteller. And Jay was like the guy who took the crown after Big passed, and he's the king of hip hop. But what happened? Jay became a business. Jay became corporate. I don't have to give you the proof. We know what Jay does now. And we know what Nas does now. So is Jay a sickness for being able to accept the fact that he's corporate? He's a corporate guy. He's a guy who he's a billionaire now off of hip hop. Is Jay a sickness? You get what I'm saying? Like, some of these things that these people are saying don't think about hip hop history or how things evolved over the years. That's all I'm saying. Now, I know people are saying, well, he's a kid. Drake's a kid out of the suburbs, and he took on this mob ties persona after this. He said Ebro said that in the whole diatribe that he had. But I also have one of New York's favorite sons, which is Fat Joe, saying, well, everything I said in my raps were lies. I lied about everything. So what are we talking about here? I just want hip hop media, especially people like Ebro, to start thinking about the biases when it comes to speaking on this type of shit. Like, if you bias, my nigga, just say you bias. Because now it's just like, oh man, Kendrick, he's just the essence of hip hop. He just went against the man. He just went against what y'all wanted him to do. And I love him for it. Y'all was on J. Cole's dick 2 years ago the same way, 3 years ago the same way. Man, that J. Cole, man. Man, he just brings it back to the essence of what hip hop is. Shut the fuck up. Shut up. Stop swinging from everybody's nuts that gives you this feeling of like, what, oh man, like, this just reminds me of when Nas first came out. Those days are done. They're over. They're over. And there's a lot of other artists that you could be putting up front that does the same thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, you guys don't even promote artists, smaller artists that are coming out, independent artists that come out that is doing the same thing. It's just you swing from these balls so hard some days. And it's hilarious because it's like this mentality of like hip hop in its purest form has to be this. When again, it's just way too many pockets now because we're way more popular than what we used to be. When I say we, I say hip hop. You have to understand that our genre has evolved and it's grown and it's one of the biggest genres in the world. And you're sitting here just like, yeah, Drake's a sickness. Drake kicked a lot of doors open. Whether you want to believe it or not, he kicked a lot of doors open for a lot of people and gave a lot of people opportunities. Now, did he steal from these same people? Yeah. He's a fucking thief. He's a robber in the night. But he did open up doors and give people a lot more platforms to be able to be seen and to be heard. Again, we know a lot of these artists went on tour with him. He early in early Drake years, he brought a lot of people on tour with him. So yeah, did he create opportunities? Of course he did. Now, did he run out the back door and with a bag and stole and suppress some shit because he didn't like people? Well, yeah, he did that too. But like you guys always like to say, two things can be true at once. See, y'all don't like that when it works against you. But all in all, I just think that Ebro and the things that he's saying are kind of dumb because my man, when you look at the bigger picture and you look at what hip hop has become or evolved into, it's really nasty. But two, it's really popular to be a hip hop artist. Like, it's just one of those things that happen because we set the trends, or hip hop sets the trends for everybody else. But sitting up here calling somebody a sickness, when I'm pretty sure, you probably praised Drake once upon a time. Don't know if I can find a video for it, but I'm pretty sure you have. These extreme takes, man, are just getting out of hand, especially when it comes to high-level hip-hop media like him. Bro, you can't say, well, you can say what you want to, and the backlash that comes with it, you're going to have to eat that. But I just don't think that I don't think there's a situation where people should be sitting up here calling somebody else a sickness when they're the biggest artists in the world and they represent hip-hop. And I'm not taking away from Kendrick either. I think Kendrick is a huge artist, pause. I hate playing that pause game, but it's ingrained in me. But I think Kendrick is one of the biggest artists out here as well. Kendrick has done a lot of things for hip hop that I've never known a rapper to get a Nobel Peace Prize. Shit just don't make no sense to me, but it happened. We had him on the biggest stage in the world. He is he is an artist that people should thrive to be like because he believes in his art. He works on his art, and he actually gives us very great works of art when it comes to his albums. But you can't have one without the other. There's always going to be a yin and a yang when it comes to hip hop. There's always going to be somebody who's the villain. There's always going to be somebody who's the good guy. You pick and choose who it is. But this divisiveness that all of these hip hop talking heads keep doing, man, y'all can have that bullshit. Stop fucking around. Stop being an asshole. Stop doing these types of things, bro, and understand that the genre has evolved into something completely different. All right, for my last story, the sexual, I can't say the R word, but Jay-Z and Diddy's lawsuit was dismissed by the accuser. Remember the whole thing with the accuser, the Jane Doe who was accusing them of the R word back in the day at the MTV Music Awards, Video Awards? Well, it's been dropped. They dropped it. Tony Busby filed a notice in federal court announcing the decision was voluntarily dismissed, and that's it. They're done. Now, Jay-Z did put a statement out there basically claiming victory and saying how much stress and how much stress it put on his wife, his kids, just his whole life because of how serious this is. And I think that's one, he deserved to put that letter out because it was a lot of people that was wavering. And a lot of us sit up here and seem to point the finger and accuse before we get all of the evidence. Pretty much going off of what Jaguar White be saying, which I hadn't seen her in months. Have you? Anyway, at the end of the day, I think a lot of people really put Hove on they tried to skewer that nigga and make him look crazy or make it look like he really was a part of this shit. And I think now we should get to the point where we need to start apologizing, or some of these people need to start apologizing for some of the things they were saying. When y'all niggas was out here sitting up here putting up these videos and accusing this man or putting him on the just trying to roast him and put him, just set him out, send him out there to be gone, we find out that it was fake. Now, I am one of those people who feel like we always need to get more evidence when it comes to certain situations, especially when it comes to this one. When it's a minor and they're saying that you going in doing the type of stuff that you was doing, hey, we need to get more facts so we can know where to go with this. That's why the justice system is supposed to be able to do their job the way they're supposed to do their job. I personally feel like a lot of people owe this man an apology because a lot of people was really pointing their finger at him. Now, Diddy, on the other hand, again, I'm not that Diddy situation. That's going to court. We're gonna get more about that when the court case comes up. But Jay, a lot of people need to start apologizing for what they did to this man. And I was trying to put him out there because a lot of y'all was believing it, but the stories never matched up. The girl was never credible. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was a lot of stuff that was coming out there and it just wasn't adding up at the end of the day. I just think I'm glad Jay had the type of lawyers that he had because a lot of people, especially in his position, or a lot of, how can I put it? He has the money to be able to hire the type of lawyers that he needed to get past this, but there's a lot of people who don't have that kind of money who get caught up in these situations and they're done, you know what I'm saying, without being able to defend themselves the correct way or any of that shit. So I'm glad that he was able to get away from this. I think he's trying to prove Tony Busby to be a fucking piece of shit and an ambulance chaser. And at the end of the day, a lot of people really need to start apologizing to Jay because the way people was going at this man, it was just unbelievable. So I'm happy to hear this. This is done, and I think they dismissed this with like prejudice. I think they was just like, yeah, this is super incredible. This is just some bullshit, and I'm glad that we got to that point because it was looking scary out here. You know what I'm saying? For people like Jay. The Diddy side of things, we're gonna see how that's gonna turn out because I think that trial is like later on this year, and I'm anxious to see who this nigga's gonna snitch on because there was a lot of major people who have came out here and there during this whole thing, these allegations and this lawsuit and this trial that's happening with Diddy. And I'm pretty sure that Diddy's going to turn and start telling on a lot of people. He gonna get his shit off when his trial comes out. So it's gonna be interesting to hear what comes from this. But Jay, congratulations. You got the victory. The accusations were false. Let's move on to something completely different and let's make sure that we get more evidence before we start pointing fingers at a lot of this shit. And stop using the internet. Stop taking the internet's word. The internet is a pretend place that people look up bullshit. Just throwing it out there. Stop with that. Just stop with the shit, bro. A lot of these motherfuckers be putting out some of the fakest shit ever. Like, we get a lot of AI songs out here that ain't even real. So I already know a lot of this other shit be fake as hell. Anyway, that's all I got for this week, man. Thank you guys for coming back for another episode. Thank you for everybody who's been supporting it so far. But if you really enjoy this content and you want to become a socialite, subscribe to the channel. I do have a Patreon, but right now it's in a bit of a hiatus because I'm trying to come up with content for Patreon. So I want to give you guys some bonus stuff, and I'm trying to figure out what it is. If you have any ideas about what you want for bonus content as well, put it in the comments. It'll be really cool for y'all to do that. But thank you guys for joining me for another episode of the STEM Society. I will catch you guys next week. Peace out.
Thank you for joining the STEM Society.